Welcome to the Beasts of the NFC East. I'm your host, Sean Gnitzcavich, with my co-host, Jeremy Goode. Jeremy Goode, what is good, man?
Kind of a slow summer as we get through it right now, Sean. I mean, it's been quite the break from football, which is interesting because I think the NFL does a good job of always keeping everything relevant, even the off season. But June is it's a slow month for sure for football purposes. But here we are.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who usually Googles like the Giants and like once a day, no matter what, even the offenses, it gets a little slow, you know? Like it was good seeing like the mini camps and Malik Neighbors, but let's tell the people what you're getting into today. There's something that's really exciting that's happening in the offseason. That's the New York Football Giants are finally on Hard Knocks, and it's the first
Mm,
ever offseason Hard Knocks. So you kind of get to see how Joe Shane, the general managers, the scouts kind of operate, free agency, the draft. There's some juicy tidbits in there. But the meat of this episode is going to be selecting the all NFC East teams. So me and Jeremy are going to each pick our teams. We might have some overlap. We might debate, but the best player at each position out of all the NFC East. So the best left tackle, Jordan Mailata, Andrew Thomas. I don't know. Stay tuned. The best center, Kelsey's out of the way. Who's taking that reign? We're going to get into that. But first, I know you didn't see Hard Knocks, but I do want to bring up some of the juicy stuff because our
yes.
listeners who are NFC East fans. The first thing I noticed is I don't know if the Giants are endorsed by Smuckers, but Joe Shane had like a 5-minute rant about how much he loves peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. It was kind of like a humbling thing, like as he was developing as a scout and he wasn't making that much money, he was just eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And as he was going for his interview for the Giants GM job, he was hungry, and on his drive over, he was eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then Jalen Hyatt is talking about how he's bulking up by eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and Smuckers and Crustables. So, like, I don't know if this is some new thing that they're putting in there, but I was going to eat a peanut butter and jelly during the episode, but I didn't know how that ASMR would, it's like a sticky thing
It's
that you
working.
go.
Listen, whatever they had going on, sounds like it worked enough or it was influential enough for you to almost do it.
Yeah. I think, but the real juicy stuff, they got into a little bit of the Saquon. I know there
Yes.
was some clips out there, especially in the advertising, where it sounded like Saquon let Joe Shane down in terms of like, just give me your word that you're going to give us a chance. Joe Shane, if you watch the episode, which I know you didn't, but I don't want to spoil too much, but it didn't
Mhm.
seem like Joe Shane wanted him whatsoever. Like he thought Saquon might be worth like $8 million. Like
Right.
that's what the Giants were willing to offer, but he didn't want to offer that because he didn't want to be insulting.
Right.
You got like Chris Rossetti, who's like a player personnel guy. He's like, what's the Giants' identity going to be? Joe Shane is like, well, we paid a quarterback $40 million a year to see what he's worth. We didn't give him $40 million to hand off the ball to Saquon. We need an offensive line. And he's like, Patrick Mahomes would be shit if he had the offensive line that Daniel Jones had last year. I don't know if
Mm,
that's true. I don't think he'd be as shitty.
right.
That was interesting. John Mara obviously wanted Saquon. AJ Brown was hurt based on the discussions that Joe Shane had about Saquon, kind of talking about how he's not really up there on priorities. He's been injured. All the carries he had at Penn State, over 900 carries at Penn State, and then like 5 years in the league, 6 years in the league, and all the injuries that he's succumbed. I kind of agree with Joe Shane on that. Like I'm glad that we didn't prioritize Saquon. I'm hurt that Saquon's gone. How do you feel,
Mm,
Jeremy? You're getting a little tired over here about my Saquon rant.
just to confirm, Gettleman drafted Saquon.
Yes, he did. Second
Okay.
overall.
Um, listen, I've heard, that's a good recap, interesting stuff. Um, I think if I'm the Giants, settling on, it was time for him to move on for his career. It was time for the Giants to move on too.
Mm-hmm.
Let all bygones be bygones and be happy. That was not great that if you're the Giants, your biggest rival took him and they have a plan for him, and it seems like things are looking up in how to use Saquon going forward and how he's so happy and how things sort of fell apart with the relationship in New York. But if you're the Giants, I understand that they need to, I don't agree that just because you paid your quarterback doesn't mean you have to, pay a running back. I get it if you don't want to pay a running back,
I don't. Yeah,
but yeah,
I
so
don't agree with. I don't agree with it either. But
mhm,
for the Giants, we were kind of with the cap situation and whatnot.
true. In your
We needed to
situation,
focus on the offensive line, which we
sounds
did with John Runyon Jr. Like maybe not a great overall guard, really good pass blocking guard to kind of see
yeah, I
what Daniel
like
Jones.
him.
I
Hmm.
think this is a year where we want to see what we have in Daniel Jones, which we kind of have to. And
Oh
obviously, Joe
yes,
Shane was looking to trade up for Drake May, so it's not like they were like, okay, like let's really put all of our eggs in the Daniel Jones basket. But not being able to move up, we didn't reach on McCarthy. Like with this situation, I think focusing on creating the O line, seeing what we have in Daniel Jones, rather than pay Barkley. John Mara was hurt. John Mara wanted Saquon, and I feel like it was kind of cool because there was this moment with like Frank Gore. They were at the
hmm
East West Shrine Bowl, and like Frank Gore was talking about how he helped scout like Devin Singletary when he played on the Bills, like with Joe Shane. So
okay.
I feel like that was kind of in hindsight, kind of showed that was happening. Another really cool tidbit is it kind of showed the beginning at the East West Shrine Bowl of the Brian Burns trade. Dan Morgan, the Panthers GM, was like drafted, scouted by Joe Shane back when he was working with the Panthers. They're
Hmm.
best friends. I guess they vacation every year. They're about to go on vacation this year. It kind of like shows how that trade started. And first they asked for
Interesting.
2 1s, and Shane's like, "No, I don't want that." He was also joking about trading back quite a bit at like all these little like where the general managers were together, which
Right.
kind of shows. And they were talking about trading back to like 33 into like the Bills pick, which was like 28.
From their fifth
So,
pick?
from the pick 6, yeah, which was kind of
Six?
interesting. It was in a
Yeah,
joking
jeez.
manner, but it kind of does go to show maybe like because they knew they weren't getting their quarterback trading up wise, maybe they were trying to
Hmm.
plan for next year. But I'm happy with Malik. That's generally
Yes.
the gist of it.
Yeah, it's a good pick. It's definitely not a reach. He was someone who the Chargers should have drafted, and they made a mistake to say the least. But yeah, good. They're the
Yeah,
idea of trading back to 32 instead of staying put and drafting neighbors at 6. Wow. So interesting. Yeah.
yeah. It's also crazy that Dan Morgan joked about getting 2 firsts for Burns, and we ended up trading, our first, second, which was like the 6th pick in the second round, and then the fifth.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so obviously Joe Shane works some magic. I respect that. The other cool thing was Shane Bowen was talking about his defense, and Brian Dable's like, so where does Isaiah Simmons fit in there? And he's like, I
It's a good
think an
question.
interesting tidbit. He was saying that Isaiah Simmons is going to play like nickel cornerback first 3 downs, and then move to money backer, or the
Oh my
first 2 downs,
God.
money backer on third downs. So kind of like replace Micah McFadden. I mean, in 2022, he did play a majority like nickel corner. So I don't know. I think there's going to be packages. I mean, we invested a 3rd round pick in Drew Phillips to be a slot corner. Cordell
Yes.
Flott, we're moving outside. It's interesting. It's and I don't know if like he's saying like he's going to be our starting slot corner, if like that's just
Right.
where we're going to play him, and then at
Oh, I
money
think
backer.
he could play. Yeah, maybe a few plays a game. I wouldn't strap him there because I think
No,
he's still enough of a linebacker size where he just won't be able to, especially if like some of these slot receivers are really fast. Like he won't be able to keep up with them. So, but
yeah,
that's interesting. It's kind of interesting with Simmons. I remember when he was coming out of Clemson and he was so coveted. And it's like he's so versatile, but I don't know if he's great at any like certain spot on the field. Like the versatility is great, but it's like it's still also like weird because you can't like have him like strapped down in one spot and be dominant there. Like you can move him around, which is great, but yeah, it's a good question what they do with Isaiah Simmons.
yeah. I mean, we were giving him like a minimum contract, so
Oh yeah.
he's an exciting player. Like he had a nice pick 6 last year. Like he
Hmm.
has a niche role. I think I'm not. I don't want him to be like our carved out starting nickel corner. I feel like that's not ideal.
Yes,
But in certain
that
situations,
would be a little insane to me.
yeah, yeah. All right, but let's get into what we came here for. We're 10 minutes
Yes.
in. As much as that was almost as long as the Hard Knocks episode itself. I apologize for that. I'm excited about the Giants. But
Why
yeah,
don't we play the
all
hard?
NFC
Why don't we
East.
add right now? Why don't we just add the Hard Knocks episode and then talk after it?
And then talk after. That's true.
That's better.
That's true. Hey, you know what, guys? I saved you guys money for the Hard Knocks or for the HBO Max subscription. I pretty much went all the way through there. I also did like the Joe Shane. He threw a lot of f bombs. He was a lot of like fucking. You know, I like it. You know,
Really?
he's a brilliant guy. He was
Was it
throwing
like
some f bombs around. You know?
was it natural or was it like kind of forced and like a little
It
uncomfortable?
was natural. You
Oh,
know,
good
I'll
for
tell you
him.
what though, it was. You could tell that they were like they knew they were on camera. You know,
Yeah. Okay.
it was.
Good balance, I think maybe. Yeah.
It didn't sound like he's. It was like something that he's totally used to, but it gave him a
Sure.
little more depth. But
Interesting.
anyways, NFC East. Let's start with the defense. All right, Jeremy, you want to start with the trenches here?
Sure.
Or do you want to go safety to D line? How do you?
I'll do.
Starting with the defense.
I'll do. We'll start in the trenches. I'll do defensive tackle. What, do I get 2 defensive tackles?
Okay, so we're gonna do 2 defensive tackles, 2 edges,
Got
2
it.
corners, 2 linebackers, 2 safeties.
My 2 defensive tackles will be Dexter Lawrence and Jalen Carter. Should I explain quickly my thought process? But
Yeah.
those,
Get into it.
well, Dexter Lawrence is the best defensive tackle in the league. He would be the staple up front there. And I think Jalen Carter was great last year, especially for a rookie. I think he's going to grow too. But I think that his size and power is just the second best defensive tackle in the NFC East. I like Jonathan Allen a lot.
Yeah.
I like Payne too, but I think that I'd rather go with someone younger, someone who I think was already good last year, who will be amazing this year. And I think that would go well with Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, those are. I'm just gonna go ahead and say those were also my top 2. And like you said, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne are like the 2 that I would debate with. Dexter
The Roll
Lawrence,
Tide guys too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they're all great players. Dexter Lawrence, I was just reading this stat by Sam Monson. In the past 2 years, Dexter Lawrence at like the pure nose tackle position has the most pressures with 81. Do you know how much the second most pressures were?
For a nose tackle?
Yeah, in the past 2 years, Dexter Lawrence has 81.
I don't know who it is. I'll give a
a
number, maybe 35.
The number is 16 pressures was the next best in
Okay.
2 years. By a pure
Okay.
nose
Yeah,
tackle. You want to guess who it was?
Vita Vea?
Derek Brown, actually. Derek Brown,
Derek Brown.
I the reason why I think that's so important is because everybody's talking about the debate about how Brian Burns is going to be better on a better line with Dexter Lawrence. We're like, well, they had Derek Brown, but Derek Brown generated 16 pressures as opposed to 81. You know?
Derek Brown took a little long, but I think he's emerging as an NFL player, even despite the school he went to. But yeah, I think the issue with nose tackles, and I think Dexter Lawrence is more than I think he's just a regular defensive tackle. I think he can play nose tackle, but like nose tackles are like guys who like really just clog the middle, and he does that, but like he's I don't know how to word it. He does it more like a defensive end too. So it's not like he just like is a big body, clogs the middle, blocks, stops the run, which he does, but he can also get through, get hits, get sacks. So it's like the best of like every world with him, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, and the whole thing with Jalen Carter, I mean, he started off a lot faster. I think he was a big case for defensive rookie of the year and then kind of slowed down later on in the year. But,
yes.
I mean, he still had 6 sacks as a rookie at defensive tackle. I mean, that's like unreal.
There were
Jonathan Allen, obviously, still great, but
Yeah, nothing
and
against
it's
those guys. They're just getting a little older, especially not as much
mm,
pain, although it feels like Payne's been in the league forever. But
yeah,
they've also just been, maybe it's because they've been on bad teams with Washington, although Dexter Lawrence has been on bad,
yeah,
but like he's just shows you like how good he is too. But yeah, I don't know. I think those would be my two guys.
yeah. I was just looking at the sack numbers here. Like Deron Payne 2 years ago, 11 and a half sacks, and Jonathan Allen 2 years ago, 9 sacks. Last year was
Yes.
a big down year for both of them. Deron Payne only had 4. Um, Jonathan Allen had 5.5. Like,
Hmm.
we'll see with Dan Quinn. I mean, there's a good chance that either of those guys, like any of those guys, can come in. Dexter Lawrence is the king, and he's not leaving that position. Like, he's best defensive tackle in the league,
Hmm.
alongside Chris Jones, say, which they talked about on Hard Knocks yesterday too. But who cares? But yeah, I think Jalen Carter, especially if we're projecting, because I think this is a projection for next year. Who we think is going to be the best at each position out of the NFC East players.
Yes.
I
That
think
that's.
Jalen Carter, especially developing, yeah, he had a
I
good
mean,
starting point.
if you're reflecting on play from last year too, you just gotta go with Carter. You know what he's going to give you, and hopefully there's just a step up in this year after having a year under his belt in the NFL.
Yeah, I like it. And then edge rushers. Let's go to your edge rushers.
Well, it depends. I don't know where you want to put Micah
That's
because
well, I was going to put him at edge just because
okay,
last year he was a
yeah,
pure edge. So I feel
yes,
like he's back to being like just pure edge.
yes. In that case, I'd go Micah. Oh, it would be easy,
It has to
even
be Michael
though
Parsons.
yeah. So Micah's one, and it would be if this guy was still on the team and they didn't trade Hassan to the Jets, even though he's similar to Micah, that quote unquote outside linebacker. We know the deal. They're pass rushers, but I can't
Yeah.
pick Reddick. So, oh, am I missing someone? I think Thibodeau could be in the conversation soon, but I don't think I'd put him in now. I don't think
Where are
I'd put
you?
him up.
But I mean, I have Micah obviously as number one. I mean, he's like a
Yes,
defensive player of the year candidate. Like he's unbelievable.
yes,
You can't not have Micah in there. Now, Burns and Huff. That's Burns had an off year last year. Huff had like kind of his like coming out year. Bryce Huff,
yes.
who you guys acquired from the Jets, almost like in a trade in a sort of way.
Essentially, yeah.
If I'm projecting for next year, dude, it's tough, man.
It is
Is that
tough.
who you're between Bryce Huff and Brian Burns?
Yeah, I also I'm not a I like Josh Sweat. I think he's also overrated and he has really bad moments where like he just has one move and it doesn't hit. But I also get that he's produced. But yeah, eliminate Josh Sweat. It's up to I guess it's up to Hoffer, Brian Burns. I guess I'd go Brian Burns because he has more of a starters portfolio. But I do
Yeah,
think the lack of numbers in Carolina make it more interesting than it should. So I think I'll still give the edge for Brian Burns over Bryce Huff.
that's the whole thing is that this is like Bryce Huff's coming out year. Like prior to
Mhm.
last year, he's always been a situational pass rusher. He had a great year last year with 10 sacks, but he was never a full time starter. Like Brian Burns is going to be out there like all 4 downs.
Yes.
Like he's going to be out there. And Kayvon, he had the sacks, doesn't have the pressures. He actually like his performance in terms of getting pressures went down last year compared to his rookie year,
Mm.
even though he had those sack numbers. I think that he's going to continue to impress. I love Kayvon. I haven't given up on him, even though he might have been lacking in the pressures last year. And I think with Brian Burns, it'll help. But I'm going to go Micah and Brian Burns as well.
Okay.
So and Bryce Huff, yeah, that was kind of my that was my debate. DeMarcus Lawrence, I feel like has kind of fallen off. Just pulling up his
Yeah,
numbers real
he's
quick, and he's getting up there too. I mean, and DeMarcus Lawrence has been destroying the Giants for years. I mean,
Yes,
like it
we've
just.
been
I mean, he fell off.
we've been fortunate, even though we don't beat them in Dallas. We've been fortunate that Lane has been able to stand up strong against him throughout their careers. But he's been, yeah, a great player. Has aged kind of like a rare wine. I wouldn't put him in my top two in the division, but yeah, he's a good consolation prize for something like this if they don't make the first two.
Man, I didn't even realize he was a Pro Bowler last year with only 4 sacks. And I get it, like I'm talking about sacks versus pressures, but
Right.
I feel like that's more of a fan voting thing to be frank, because
Yeah.
I think there might have been better pass rushers out there. Um, all right, now we're moving back to our linebackers. I actually dug deep with these. Do you
Did
want to
you?
lead off with
You
your
lead off.
linebackers?
You lead
Too?
off then. No, no, no. You lead off then.
Well, first off, I knew Devin White is trash. You know, like because I'm
Okay.
thinking here like Jacoby Dean hasn't done anything yet,
Right.
and you know Devin White, like he had his worst year by far last season. Um,
Yeah. I think there were
like
issues. I think he's better than last year, but it's hard to if you have other options, I think that it's easier to go elsewhere than him. Yeah.
I know PFF isn't the end all be all, but he had a 46 overall grade last year. He did
Okay.
have 2 interceptions. I think what was the most surprising to me is that Bobby Wagner is still the best linebacker out of all of these guys. Like I thought it was going to be a Bobby Okereke, Frankie Louvu. Bobby Wagner still has some juice. No, Bobby Wagner. He was like, let me go back here. He was second in all pro voting and all Pro Bowl last year at age 33. Led the league in total tackles. I mean,
Mm,
Bobby
yeah.
Wagner is still the guy, and I like Frankie Louvu too, like a lot. And I was even thinking maybe Frankie over Bobby, but the PFF grade, I think Frankie has like an 80 and Bobby had like a 78 last year. But Bobby Okereke was awesome. Like led the league in forced fumbles or for linebackers, 10 passes defensed, like great in coverage. You know, still had 2.5 sacks, great in tackle, like had pressures. So I'm going to go with the Bobbies, 2 Bobbies for the linebackers. And I think even if you're projecting Bobby Wagner's going into age 34, Bobby Wagner started his career with Dan Quinn, back with Dan Quinn. I feel like Quinn's going to get the most out of him.
Mm.
So I'm going with 2 Bobbies. Where are you at here?
Yeah, if we're going off of projections, I'm not going to put that. I just don't see it. I can't keep betting on Bobby Wagner, so I'll in place of him, I'll put Frankie Louvu just
So you
because
agree,
like
Bobby Okereke?
I think so. Yeah, it's one of the weaker positions in the division slash NFL. So yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, and then I didn't even give any love to Eric Kendricks, but I feel like
I was
his
considering him.
he's
Yeah.
another like he's going to be going into his age 32 season. You know, like he had a good season last year. You know, 6 passes defense, forced fumble. You know, it's definitely, but it looks like he is on the decline if you look at his numbers over the years. Like he's not. I don't see him
I think it's tough
really.
to bank on older linebackers.
I
I
think it
think a
is
lot.
cool though. I didn't even realize this, but he is reuniting with Mike Zimmer in Dallas because Mike Zimmer is
Oh
defensive
yeah,
coordinator
true.
all those years in Minnesota
Oh
together.
yeah, I forgot the games.
It's
Mike
kind of
Zimmer.
interesting, the Dan Quinn, Bobby Wagner reunition, and yeah, very very interesting. But yeah, no, I think so. We're universal on that. I feel like we're pretty universal right now.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Pretty.
actually, we have everybody. Everybody has been the same. But I think
Well, no,
cornerbacks might change.
I went with Luvu over
Oh yeah, you did
Wagner.
go Luke. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, and it's close. And I honestly, I thought I was gonna before I really dug deep. It just, dude, Bobby's still doing it. You know, he's
Yeah,
still doing
yeah, it's weird, but like I don't know if you consider this like Washington. I think we both assume Washington's not going to be that good this year.
it. Mm-hmm.
He signed with Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think you'd want him more on another winner kind of team. Um,
Yeah, I don't know if this is
But,
just because of the familiarity with Dan Quinn, like to end his
mhm.
career in a role that he's succeeded in, just to like keep his, you know, his play ability up.
Maybe.
That's all I can really think of, because honest, like linebackers are used in so many different ways based on a defensive scheme. So like kind of
True.
going back to his bread and butter, I
True.
can see it. And
Yeah.
Frankie Louvu, like he's somebody who gets sacks. Like they can throw him on the edge, so like he's versatile. So that's kind of why I do like Frankie Louvu a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, I
you
agree.
want to get your no continue. Cut you
No, no,
off.
no. Just to confirm, yeah, just with the age factor, that's why I go Louisville. I mean, he goes to the same Washington team that we don't think is going to be good, but he's younger. Um, was the top linebacker in his class in free agency, or one of them at least. So that's why I lead over him over Bobby Wagner.
Yeah,
And that's nothing. It
and
doesn't
I
take.
get
It doesn't take away anything. It doesn't take what he did in Seattle. He's a Hall of Famer and
hands
legendary.
down.
Right. It doesn't take anything away from that. I'm just talking about going forward from this point. Who am I banking on? A lot of it just comes down to athleticism and, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and he could also just have a role to kind of help develop Jamin Davis over there too, who's kind of not really lived up to a first round caliber pick,
True.
because
Yeah.
they're kind of loaded with linebackers over there.
They have a
But
lot. It was funny when they were going over free agency, especially teams that don't sign linebackers like the Eagles. So, yeah, it was funny.
yeah, yeah, maybe that's why they wanted to steal them all from the Eagles, which is
Probably.
kind of. But hey, you guys got Devin White, maybe the worst of most overrated out of all of
Yeah,
them.
little does Washington know we're not competing with them in terms of linebackers, so keep on signing them
Yeah, that
because
is funny
we're
though,
not going to take
because
we're not going to take them.
and the Cowboys needed a linebacker too, and they're like, well, we'll
That's
just get
true.
Eric Kendrick. Yeah.
Right.
But going to cornerbacks, I kind of want you to lead off here.
This is tough
Hmm.
because I think Diggs is a very good cornerback, but he also has the whole thing where teams throw to his side a lot, and there are all those stats suggesting why he has all the interceptions. Because
Yeah,
75% of the time, those balls are getting through to the receiver. Deron
yeah,
Bland had a very good year last year, but it sort of seemed iffy. I need to see more. It sort of seemed weird. Who
yeah.
did Stephon Gilmore? He didn't re-sign with Dallas. Did anyone pick
No,
him?
Stephon. Dude, I actually don't know where Stephon Gilmore is. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, I would
He
actually.
is free agent still.
Wow.
So yeah, I feel like he's probably waiting until somebody goes down so he can fill a role on a
Interesting.
defender.
Yeah, they don't have to go. Yeah, they do that too because they don't have to. It's a good point. They don't have to go through training camp because they hate that. And nor should at their age, it makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah.
Um. Oh, people are gonna hate me if I don't say Deron Bland.
I don't know.
All right.
I mean,
It,
he was unreal. Like his
I
season last year.
know. Yeah, it's just all right. I guess I'll go. Yeah, Washington is nothing. Um,
Yeah, nobody.
I'll go Deron Bland, and two, I'll go. Do I get a slot corner, or are we not doing slots?
You can do an honorable mention. I feel like we should have
Okay,
started with two.
I'll
Best
go
two.
Deron Bland, and I still am going to hold on to maybe. I mean, I don't see any major drastic change in like going all the way downhill at this age. I'll give Darius Slay the second spot, I think, unless I'm missing someone. But I think
I
that's
mean,
what,
no,
yeah.
that's what I was thinking too. I'm honestly on like the same.
I
Like
like
Darius
Diggs
Slay is
too.
obviously getting older, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think just for I'm gonna go Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs, just because I think
Okay.
Trayvon Diggs. I mean, I know he's coming off that injury, but
Yes.
I think with Darius
But he should
Slay's
be
age,
healthy, I guess.
yeah, because he got injured like 2 games into the season. I think it's
Yes.
the second game of the season. So Yeah, I think and Deron Bland, 9 picks last year, 6 pick sixes, right? 5 pick
Yeah,
sixes.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Uh, yeah, I mean, he was unreal. I mean, finished 5th in Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, All Pro first team. I mean, just like unbelievable.
Well, I
Like
think
based on that. I mean, is he going to repeat that? Probably
right.
not,
That's
especially with the
yeah,
change of defensive coordinator too. Like I think
right.
Dan Quinn definitely had some say in that, in his scheming and
Yeah,
coaching. But
it's just these are just tough. Like if you're trying to project into next year and what they're going to do, I don't know if it'll be anywhere close to as good. And that's just that. And part of it's because of how productive it was last year. But like, it's tough. And as a cornerback these days to get those stats up. But we'll see. That's why. But he doesn't make it in mine. Yes.
yeah, honestly, like the Commanders' cornerbacks are like escaping me right now. Like I know Forbes, and he's nowhere close to being in this conversation. Deontay Banks, like I love him. Like Darius Slay is like one of the best corners for a long time, even in his older
hmm
age. I don't really. I mean, he could surpass him this season. Um,
Maybe he's
just
still Slay's dropped off a bit over the years, but he's done it in a way where he's still a pretty productive corner. Maybe that changes this year, but um,
yeah,
yeah, he's aged decently. But obviously, the Eagles had other plans too going forward with all the corners that they took in the first round.
yeah, and yeah, Benjamin St. Juste probably isn't doing it. I do like
hmm
Mikey Sanders still. It's just weird, but he's slot obviously, and then
Right,
like Quan Martin is also kind of like a nickel
safety.
slot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, those guys aren't taking it. Yeah, I think that covers it with the cornerback. It's definitely because I was leaning Darius Slay, but I feel like Trayvon Diggs is still on the rise, and like
Yeah.
he got better at coverage too. After like that big interception season, he got a lot better in coverage.
Yeah.
And last season we weren't really able to see his development because after one game, but
Right.
I do have faith in Diggs as much as I don't want to because I hate the Cowboys. But that's what we're all
Mm.
about. We're covering the whole NFC East. Um, Safeties. Safeties. How are you feeling there? Well, I'm curious to where you're leaning. It's hard to project rookies. Like I've had a hard time because I actually is Cooper DeJean. First off, let me ask you this: Is Cooper
Yes.
DeJean where is he practicing right now? Is he practicing in the nickel? Is he practicing safety like in mini
Um,
camp? Is he
he
like
was
tied up?
practicing. He was practicing all over, but I think he was actually getting the most snaps in the slot corner position.
Okay.
So,
So where do they have Quinion? Just like you figured him to be like kind of rotating with Bradbury?
well, that's what they're saying now. He should start, but apparently the Eagles might get in their own way because of the whole money stuff and respect to their elders. So some people think they're going to start Bradbury, have a
Mhm.
short leash, which is stupid. But I think Quignon eventually starts early on in the season. Eventually,
All right.
so
Fair. Fair. Um, so with
safeties
that
though.
being said, yeah, safeties.
I mean,
It's the whole like this is like where you kind of see how everything's changed with McKinney out of the picture, Cameron Curl, who is great, out of the picture.
yep. hmm
CJ Gardner Johnson's back with you guys.
Right.
Uh, this is actually because I'm not familiar with like the Cowboys defensive back, so I was kind of looking at
Yeah. There's. I mean,
like their
Donovan Wilson
PFF
did okay.
grade. Yeah, Malik
Donovan
Hooker.
Wilson did. Yeah. Okay.
Malik Hooker
Players.
actually has the highest PFF grade out of all of the safeties. If I'm just going through player by player, because it's hard
Uh,
to really judge safety grades because there's so much that factors into there, like
yeah.
coverage and run defense. I mean, if I'm
Exactly.
going off name alone, C.J. Gardner Johnson, I feel like is there,
I think
but
he's there. Who does God? It's yeah. Losing McKinney hurts. Losing Cam Curl hurt. Yeah. Jeez.
yeah. So I mean, they
Ugh.
kind of have like so if we're going through them all, the Cowboys are the same: Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker. The Giants obviously lose McKinney. we kind of are rotating with Jason Pinnock, Dane
Mm-hmm.
Belton, who was, like a 5th-round pick, who I liked a lot. And then obviously Tyler Nubin, our 2nd-round pick, to replace McKinney. I would say the best safety in the draft, And you've seen rookies out of the jump, especially Antoine Winfield Jr., who, he has the same number, played at Minnesota with him, kind of
Mm-hmm.
mimics his game after him, kind of helped him develop. I could see Tyler Nubin being one of the top 2 safeties in the NFC East this season. Like it wouldn't shock, especially because he's
Maybe.
older. He's like 24, so it's like mentally he's kind of there. Like he prepares for the game. He's
I
good
guess. I
in
guess.
run
Yeah. I mean,
defense. He's good in pass defense.
I guess if he starts, sure, because there's only going to be 8 starters, so he has a chance there. But it depends. I mean, it depends what the Eagles do with Cooper DeJean. If they play him at safety, which I think it's going to be his ultimate position. Sidney Brown's not healthy right now, but he's intriguing. I don't. Yeah, I don't. I guess. I guess right now I would go Chauncey Gardner Johnson and Donovan Wilson. I think
I think Malik Hooker. I'm just looking at PFF grades because, to be honest,
maybe.
like
Yeah.
just because I had Donovan Wilson pulled up and he was like much lower. Malik Hooker had the highest PFF grade by far.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean
It's
it's because I don't know. It's so hard to like rate safety play. Honestly, I like Jason Pinnock's play last year. I mean, I don't think he's like top. I'd almost say Reed Blankenship over like CJ Gardner Johnson and Reed Blankenship. Jeremy Chin had an off year going to the Commanders. We'll see.
I wouldn't put Blankenship. I'd put if you want a rotational safety, go. He might be one of the best in the NFL. Well, I don't know, but he's up there. I don't think I'd put him at 2 though.
Yeah. I'm just gonna
That's tough.
say because there's so much up in the air, and I feel like so many middling safeties. I'm gonna put Tyler Nubin just because I think he has a high floor as a rookie, and he has also a high ceiling as a rookie. Like he could walk away next season like with 4 or 5 picks
So
based on his play, based on how he prepares for the game.
So you have Nubin and who?
CJ Gardner Johnson, even though he's like coming off of
Okay.
less of a kind of a slower year.
He was hurt for a lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, I think Vic Fangio is going to do a really good job with your safeties over there. Like, I mean, you saw how
he'll do better for sure. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. So
I think I'll stick. I guess I'll stick with Chauncey and Donovan.
You still want Donovan Wilson?
I think
Donovan Wilson. All right. Honestly, like it's one of those positions that was one of the hardest ones for me to really evaluate. So now we're starting with the offense, and we'll start trenches going. So maybe center, work our way out. Center.
Okay.
I think we could do every single position though: left guard, left tackle, right tackle. So you want to start us off here?
I'm pulling it up right now. So yes, and I really don't know.
This is so
Cowboys.
tough, I mean, if we're projecting,
it's Cowboys. No. Giants. I still like Schmitz, but I wouldn't put him down now.
He had an awful rookie season.
Right. Jurgens, I like a lot.
He's a great prospect. Sorry for cutting you off. But the Cowboys, Cooper Beebe, okay. He was a 3rd-round guard who they're putting at center, who never played center. Like,
yeah,
it's not going to happen. It could. You never know. But it just out of all of these players,
Jurgens was great at guard. He's now going to be at center. I guess that gives him kind of an edge, but I really might have to go Tyler Biadasz.
You have to. Like you have to. Especially John Michael Schmitz. Obviously, he had so much chaos around him. Like, could have been a 1st-round center. A lot of people wanted the Giants to take him in the 1st round last year. We get him at their 2nd pick. I had high expectations with him. Also coming out of Minnesota, older prospect. good physical, but he had so many different people starting on either side of him. Like, he had an awful season. Like, he needs the continuity. I could see him being the best center out of the whole NFC East finishing this year, because I think
Mm-hmm.
that he has a higher ceiling than Tyler Biadasz. But Tyler Biadasz is definitely the most seasoned, and
Yeah.
he was decent with the Cowboys. It's kind of like he's going to be paired up next to, he had two of the best guards around him, though, too, on the Cowboys. I'm spoiling my picks, but the two of the best guards in football with Zach Martin and Tyler Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to give Washington their dues, but I mean, this isn't even just a homer thing. I think that John Michael Schmitz, with the new O-line coach, with a
Oh,
little bit of
stop.
consistency.
But here's just go
Yeah.
with because I could say the same thing. I could say the same thing with Jurgens because
Cam
Jurgens actually
Jurgens,
was
yeah,
because he was a very good guard, and I think that he can move to center and do a decent enough job easily. So
that's true. That's true.
listen, I don't
That
want
is
to.
true.
You can still go with your guy.
No, because he didn't show anything last year. Like,
That's
it's
also
all
true.
based on it's all
Right.
drafted based on the pre-draft hopes. But I mean, we
Yes.
saw what pre-draft hopes did with Evan Neal. So, yeah, I'm gonna safe pick Tyler Biadasz for center. All right, I think we can
Okay.
move on there. Sorry about Kelsey, dude. It's sad.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how much of an easy pick it would have been
Oh
before he
yeah,
retired.
yeah. One of the best centers of all time, Hall of Famer.
Right.
Yeah. All right, guard. I think we can just do left and right guard together here, and I think we
Okay.
should actually do an actual left guard, actual right guard.
Okay.
What do you?
That is fine. Okay. I'll go. Um. Sorry, I'm pulling it up. I'll go. So this is tough. And hear me out. Actually, no, it's not that tough. Right guard, Zach Martin,
Obviously, yes.
and left guard, and I love him, but it's also, I mean, this is just going to be a fierce offensive line. The NFC East is, wow, there are a lot of guys on this line. Left guard, we're going to go Landon Dickerson. So you've Martin one way, Dickerson the other. Unless I'm forgetting somebody. I mean, I know Smith went
Tyler
down.
Smith, dude. Tyler
No,
Smith was an
I like.
All-Pro last year.
Yeah,
He's
but so
All-Pro
is
last year.
Dickerson will be. I like
You
Dickerson.
think? Okay, you're projecting. Okay, I just, especially because they're keeping Tyler Smith at guard. By the
Yes.
sounds of it. Yeah, I can't go against
As they
Tyler
should,
Smith.
too. As they should.
Yeah. Even though he was good tackle as a rookie too. I mean, dude, that's his first year, and he was an All-Pro at guard.
Yes.
So, yeah, because I was, dude, and even I was actually just looking. I think CBS just posted a list of the top 10 guards in the league, and it went Sam Cosmi 8,
Mhm.
Landon Dickerson 7, and then 6. I think 654 was the Tyler Smith, Zach Martin.
I will
That was
say right now,
yeah.
people of this podcast, there are not 6 guards better than Landon Dickerson in the NFL. I will just say that right now. I'm also biased, but this team is different with him.
All right. Okay. I know how much you love Landon Dickerson.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I know John Runyon Jr. is not top cracking that list. That is for sure.
Yeah,
Although
but
I'm
he's a
excited
good.
for him as a pass protector.
At least, I mean, there's depth in that position in the division, and he fits the bill for that for sure.
Yeah.
If he's the worst, I don't know if he's the worst. I guess you have to look at Washington.
He's middling.
But geez, that's not a bad little player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sam Cosmi is definitely the highlight of the Washington line.
Yes.
A good guard. So
yeah.
Left tackle. What are you thinking here?
So this is tough. As much as I try to be fair, I try to be truthful, and you just have to go with Jordan Mailata. No, I'm just kidding. We'll go Andrew Thomas.
Really again?
Yes.
Last year, I thought you'd change because he was injured last year, but no, I'm glad.
So
I mean,
that went into my decision making. Assuming he's healthy, I
yeah,
will go Andrew Thomas. I don't love rewarding him, quote unquote, rewarding him in this kind of thing after just being so injured last year off of the soft tissue stuff. I get how serious it is, but like, it's just tough to put him at what. I guess if he is healthy and you're going off of talent, I think that Andrew Thomas is the left tackle. Now, everybody loves Mailata. I don't know what it. I think he's very good. I think there are moments where um, I don't know how to word it, are just a little difficult for him in terms of protection, especially as a left tackle. So that's why I would put Andrew Thomas at one over him.
yeah. Hey, I mean, especially I think fully healthy Andrew Thomas, and even hey, didn't Jordan Mailata say it himself when we met him like a year and a half ago? I
Yes,
think
he
he did
did.
say Andrew Thomas. He said they're two different beasts, but
Yes,
I think he gave the edge to Andrew Thomas.
yeah, he did.
If singing competition, Jordan Mailata hasn't beat. Definitely close in terms of the football talent, but I'm also going Andrew Thomas. I think he's one of the best tackles, as is Mailata. So it is tough.
Yeah, it's
But
weird.
that was
Like everybody seems to be like loving Jordan by a lot in the media these days, which I love, which is great because
yeah, great
it's not always the
personality, good
case.
player,
I'm
true
happy.
story.
Like he is very good. Just yeah, it's just when things got kind of bad last year, it sort of seemed like a lot of it was on his side a little bit. Not that like he was making like, not that he was dumb and like they were dumb mistakes, but just that like there was just a lot of guys on his side getting a little beyond him in the line of scrimmage. But it's close. Good competition for this little thing for the SEs for left tackle. Two guys who are both very, very, very good. I hate rewarding, and I hate just giving it to Thomas after like last year because I think like there are times where you have to like prove it again. And after
Yeah,
injury, I think it's one of them. But I still think I'd go, yeah, Andrew Thomas, a left tackle.
yeah, he's young enough where I don't think that this injury, like
Bro,
nobody's expecting him to like fall off from this
and he's
injury.
played at a high level enough too, even though he hasn't mastered it yet, in my opinion. He's on his way, and he has enough under his belt.
Yeah, yeah, I agree there. Right tackle, I think we can all agree. Andrew Wiley from the Washington Commanders.
Please knock it off. My goodness.
Evan Neal from the New York Giants. No, I'm just kidding.
I love
Oh my
Evan Neal
God,
Roll
no,
Tide.
it's Lane Johnson. Yeah, yeah, me too. I love him, dude. Oh,
Love Lane Johnson. He has been great at right tackle. Interestingly enough, he was supposed to be the left tackle to replace Jason Peters. He did such a great job at right tackle that, why move it when it works? It makes sense. I think he also kind of changed the right tackle position because I think a lot of teams realize that if you want to be truly great, you need two great tackles. And now I think people view the right tackle position as much, much, much more essential than they used to. Obviously, the blind side, the left tackle is definitely the most important, but I think right tackle is very close too. Long four-mans are just saying Lane Johnson there at right tackle.
yeah, no, yeah, I mean, I don't think like Lane Johnson is like probably the best right tackle in the league still, even at his
Yeah.
age. How old is he now? 30? Is he going to be 34 going on this season?
Yeah, maybe 34, 35-ish, something like that.
Yeah,
34 maybe?
yeah, 34. 34.
Okay.
Yeah, May birthday, 34. But I mean, I
Yeah.
I don't really see him. My question is, how many more seasons do you think he's got in him?
It's tough. It's one of those things because like after the Super Bowl, I thought when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl in 2022, I was saying Kelsey can't retire. I think he had the best career he's ever had in the NFL that year. And
Yeah,
then he did one more year, then he retired. And Lane's kind of the same way where he is just aged magically, majestically. And it's just hard to see him like retire, something like that. It's just hard to see him
I don't
retire
know.
um, when he's playing at such a high level. But he's mentioned it before. I think if you could get 2 more years, 3 years would be delightful. But you know, it ultimately depends on if there's a drop off, I guess.
Yeah, 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 I don't know. It's tough. It's like you love having those players and still having them, but like once they're especially like 34, you're like, man, like
Yeah.
this is just like a gift. Like you're not expecting to have a player for that long, you know?
And you're not expecting them to be playing at such a high level. That's what makes it like. That's why it
Yeah,
was so tough to lose like Kelsey. Like, yeah, he's a fan favorite. Yeah, he's a good player, but he was playing like it was. He was playing at such an exceptional level at his age. It's like, oh my god. But
yeah. He still was at the top, but I guess maybe he wanted to leave at the top. He wanted to
yes,
leave as like a struggling like middle of the pack center.
yes,
You know, he's still one of the best centers in the league. So
that's what he said
respect.
too. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that's smart. That's my question with Travis Kelsey this year, dude. You know, he's going as tight end 2 or 3. A lot of people are picking Trey McBride. You know, podcast favorite Trey McBride as tight end 1 this year in fantasy. I'm curious to see how everything's going to shake out.
Interesting.
I like Kincaid honestly a lot. And he's going like 5th out of the tight ends, but nonetheless, this is an NFC East podcast. So speaking of the tight end position, little
Yes.
transition there. Man, it's an interesting one. Dallas Goedert, I feel like if he was not buried behind AJ Brown and Devonta Smith and also
Hmm.
dealt with injuries like the past few seasons, I feel like he
Yeah.
would be higher up there. But as of right now, I think the tight end is Zach Ertz for the Washington Commanders. Just kidding. It's Jake Ferguson for the Cowboys. Sorry for that.
I
Yeah,
would.
it's like,
I would.
I think it's Jake Ferguson.
I
Yeah.
would agree. I think it doesn't help Goddard either that it seems that there are a lot of games where he's open and able to
Yeah.
contribute, and he doesn't get the ball for whatever reason. If the quarterback isn't looking his way or expects they're on the same page, etc. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd go right now. I think skill wise, I'd go Goddard, but I think as a player right now, what they contributed last year going forward, yeah, I think I'd go Jake
Yeah.
Ferguson.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he hasn't played like a full season since his rookie year,
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy.
yeah,
Uh, and I just wanted to pull up Jake Ferguson's number. So, last year, Dallas Goedert, just under 600 yards, 3 touchdowns. He hasn't had more than 5 touchdowns in his career. He's been like at the 3 touchdown mark. And then Jake Ferguson was a beast last year for the
yeah.
Cowboys. He took that Dalton Schultz role and thrived, 761 yards,
Hmm.
and 5 touchdowns. I mean, and a Pro Bowler. And a Pro Bowler, and
Yes.
deservingly so. He had a great season. I think, with Washington, Ben Sinnott, like 2nd-round pick,
Yeah.
I like him. I
Hmm.
could see him doing well, especially, with Jaden Daniels. Even though there's not like, it's like Terry McLaurin is like their standout receiver. They do have like Jahan Dotson can be a great receiver, I think. And,
Yeah, they
the
have
Cowboys
options. They have options. Yeah.
And for the Giants, I really
I
like
like
Theo Johnson.
Waller. I think Waller
Rookie
gives you
year.
a chance.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Waller gives us a chance of
Dropping an album.
really disappointed. Yeah, dropping an album, cheating on his wife of less than a year. Those are high chances for Waller. But no, seriously, dude. Respect to Darren Waller. And honestly, like, the excitement of Darren Waller going into last season, I had so much hype. I was so
Yeah.
excited. Coming
I
off a
do think
playoff
that is
win, we had
unfortunate.
Darren Waller.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks, but I'm like as much as I think that Waller could still compete.
Hmm.
Bobby Skinner always hammers like he was like the best. He had the most receiving yards out of all the tight ends. Like when he got injured, like he was still playing pretty high, like pretty well. He was just playing for a bad Giants team, so he wasn't really highlighted.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, but his heart's not in it, dude. He's rapping right now. He's making like
Yes.
really mediocre music. But that's okay, dude. If that's what you want to be, like a above average tight end, mediocre rapper, take the rap route. Do it, bro.
Yeah. A lot of them do.
Yeah, it sucks.
Maybe he could be a feature on one of your band's songs.
Yeah, I don't know, man. No, I don't know. I just Check out Spaceman by Optimistic Prime. That's like that's one of my old songs. But I mean,
Ooh,
my rapping there is like beyond, way beyond Darren Waller. I'm just saying. Check it
I
out.
see.
Optimistic Prime, no space, Y and Prime. Let's get to the wide receivers here. Do you want to do two? Let's see. I want to pull it up. I pulled up our graphic from last year. I think this is like our first episode
Yes.
that we did last year. I think we did. Yeah, we did do
I
what?
think
Three
we
wide
should do three. I think we should do three.
I think it's because like three wide receivers is fair. I think that's what they do for
Yes.
the all NFL team, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So we're both Jake Ferguson there.
Yes.
All right, cool. So wide receivers. I think you want to just go your three, and I'll go.
Sure.
We're projecting for next year.
Yes. Yeah. So there's some good options that aren't going to make it. I guess I'll go in order. One, CD Lamb. I think 1 and 2 could actually change, but for now, off of last year, one is CD Lamb, two is AJ Brown, and three will be Devontae Smith. I will give you my fourth, which is Neighbors, but I don't. I think people need to keep on respecting Devontae Smith because he's just a dog, and I think if everything clicks with his offense, you'll see why those receivers on the Eagles are so special. So those are my three, and Neighbors is a very solid four. He gets punished for being in a strong division.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I would very safely bet Malik Neighbors has a better season than Devonta Smith.
Okay.
And his talent is definitely, I'd say, as prospects, Devonta Smith was phenomenal. Heisman winner, correct?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
First non-quarterback Heisman in a while.
Yeah. I don't think you realize how much Neighbors is going to eat this season. I agree with you. CeeDee
What
Lamb,
is Devontae
CeeDee Lamb
Smith done off his career?
Dude, Devonta Smith has been great, dude. But like, dude, he
No
played,
doubt.
every like. I mean, I'm looking at his numbers. Like last season, like he had a great season, but he had a
The
wide
numbers.
season.
The number. Listen, I'm an honest person.
But you have to look at the
Jalen
numbers.
Hurts
dude,
didn't.
Really, what he's
Jalen
doing.
Hurts didn't contribute to the numbers. AJ Brown's numbers should be better than last year too, in the second half.
Yeah.
But Jalen Hurts was awful, so you got to put that into account too. You also have to put in account who is throwing Neighbors the football.
Dude, everybody keeps saying this.
Yes, it's a valid point.
Everybody keeps, dude. Daniel Jones revamped O-line. Listen, I'm not. My word. This revamped O-line might be shit still. I'm not totally in love with this.
Revamped O-line. Eagles have the best O-line in the NFL.
I know they do. But like, dude, Malik Neighbors is going to be our pure one. Like,
listen, I agree. I put him ahead of Terry. I put him ahead of Terry McLaurin, which I think says a lot already. Yeah.
And I like Terry McLaurin too, and I think that Terry McLaurin's great, and I feel like Malik Neighbors is a different type of prospect. Like
that's why I'm giving him 4.
And dude, you look at Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
He played with Zach Wilson and Mike White. He had a phenomenal rookie year. I'd say Garrett Wilson that year had a better year than Devonta Smith's best year. Devonta Smith's best year was sophomore season. 4 yards short of 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, blah, 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 blah. Oh, dude. All my picks are coming up in my underdog draft, dude. We gotta wrap this up, man. And then we go Garrett Wilson.
In between.
Listen, dude, the fantasy draft, I'm doing the underdog slow draft, so it's going to take me a whole month until I finish these drafts. Especially, dude, I told you I have pick 11 in these snake drafts, and the person who has pick 12 is sleeping through. So I have 20 hours. Like, he could pick both of his picks, and I'm right back. No, he's like sleeping through his picks. Yeah, his rookie season, dude, had 1,100 yards, only 4 touchdowns. But still, like,
Right.
I think Daniel Jones can be better. Like, I think Daniel Jones is going to be closer to 2022 playoff Daniel Jones than 2023, where like he was dealing with injuries, one of the worst lines, the worst offensive line in the league. Like, I don't know. I'm just like this is all projection, so it's so hard. There's like no real numbers that can line up, but
But we do have numbers for Devontae Smith. We don't have any numbers for Neighbors in the NFL.
yeah, we do have numbers. But I think that, especially because I'm looking at Garrett Wilson. Not Garrett Wilson, Jesus. Devonta Smith. I was looking at Garrett Wilson because I had the wrong numbers up. I mean, Devonta Smith, and he did have a really great season his first year with AJ Brown, like the Super Bowl season.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's possible. I feel like I'm going Homer. It's not just Homer. It's probably subconsciously the Homer thing going on here, but I think Malik Neighbors is going to have a better season than Devonta Smith. And this isn't like when I bet you that Kadarius Toney was going to have a better career than Devonta Smith. This is a totally different thing here.
All right. It's
All right.
Okay.
All right, you have your three, I have mine. And Terry McLaurin,
Yes.
for Commanders fans who I'm sure like they probably hate the hell out of me. At least like there's an argument for Devonta Smith. There's like my argument is all based on projecting. But if anybody watched Malik Neighbors, watch his tape, see what he can be. He's gonna be great. Okay, there we go. Your wide receivers: CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. In that order, you can interchange CD, AJ Brown. I'm gonna go CD. Yeah, but like CD is obviously
right. Right now he's one. It could change, but it also might. Yeah, CD could also just hold on to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he has pretty much like the same scenarios that's been going on as last season. So I see kind of obviously. Oh wait, no, same offensive coordinator, correct? I believe so.
Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I think so. Let me just for the sake of this.
Mm-hmm.
Schottenheimer. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, same head coach. Same OC, I mean. Okay. So, yeah, I have CD, AJ Brown, and Malik Neighbors, mixing it up. I feel like as a Giants fan, you have to. I think most Giants fans would agree with me there.
I'm sure most Giants fans would agree with you. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, at least I didn't put him over AJ Brown.
Oh my God! Don't say that.
Okay. Running back. All NFC East running back. What do we got here, Jeremy?
We're gonna go with. He doesn't really have any competition, so it's kind of obvious. But we'll go with Saquon Barkley for running back in the division. Eckler, he might be last on. I don't know if he has any juice. Singletary, nice option. I wouldn't put him there. And actually, Dallas, I don't know. Zeke, that's last. I think it's just awful. So
I think Zeke is last. Actually, I've seen people say that Dowdle might be a better option than Zeke.
Yeah, it's just bizarre how they've neglected and they told everybody that they wanted Brooks out of Texas before, so it's wild.
Yeah.
It's going to be Saquon, but it's a laugher because there's not really anybody else you can go with.
Yeah, I mean, I grew, I've been a Saquon guy all the way up until
still are
March 10th. Actually, I don't even know where my Saquon.
Yeah, you decapitated it.
Yeah, man. I usually have it here. I move things around. It's been a minute. Yeah, it has to be Saquon. Like, it has to be Saquon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even being injured throughout last year, he's behind a better offensive line. I'm not gonna have some homer take. Like, Saquon Barkley still, even though he has declined, he's not like as explosive as he was his rookie season.
No running back is. Yes.
Yeah. Could he recapture that behind the best offensive line he's ever run behind? He could.
Here's the thing too,
his home run stuff isn't really there like it used to be, especially after like the multiple injuries.
Here's the thing too, though. One place he was very upset, and now the new place he's very, very happy. It's usually a thing People in Philadelphia, they're just happier than people in New York. So I think that also plays into effect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Is that true?
Something like that.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. Jack Stoll said he's happier in the Giants than he was in the Eagles. Just actually, I don't know if that's
He
true,
might
but
be. Listen, he might be if he gets an actual role. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna go crazy and be like Tyrone Tracy's gonna come out of nowhere and be, but I am excited about Tyrone Tracy. Like if somebody like the best chance of supplanting Saquon as because I mean it's obviously Saquon like miles ahead. Who would
Mm-hmm.
you say has the best chance, like highest ceiling? I'm not talking about like their floor. I would honestly put Tyrone Tracy there above. I mean, unless Austin Eckler, I just don't see Austin Eckler like rejuvenating.
I mean, I
He
think
looked
if
so bad last year.
yeah, I agree. I'm not into Eckler at all. I think if Washington falls back on Brian Robinson, I think that that's probably the clear cut. What we've seen him do well. We've also seen him peak at the top and then go down. So we know his
Yeah,
ceiling, but I think if he can return to any form of the however many yards, if he can average 4.4 yards per touch in DC and they go
yeah,
back to him, we know what that's about, and I guess that's where I lean towards maybe.
yeah. I mean, I think that Brian Robinson is going to have a much better year than Austin Eckler in that backfield. Also with
I agree.
freaking what the hell is his name?
Well,
The
Washington has a
Kingsbury.
lot. Yeah, they have a lot of guys. Chris Rodriguez. Uh, they got
Brian
they yeah
Robinson.
yeah
Antonio Gibson's on the Pats now,
yes. He's
but
so bad.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
good early on,
But I
like
think
before stuff
yeah,
happened. But yeah, he was just bad in DC at the end.
and the fumbles. But yeah. All right. I think the moment we've all been waiting for here.
Hmm.
Who is the best quarterback? Who do you think will be the best quarterback of the NFC East next season?
This is a tough one. I'm about to choke on my own cough, but I can't pick Dak. I don't know if you feel the same
What?
way. But
No, I dude.
really, you're the
Uh,
opposite. I think this is a trap. Dak is Dak. He has
mm-hmm,
showed. So I think it comes down to who wins the division. And if we've seen anything with patterns, nobody repeats. Dallas
yeah,
won the division
that's true.
last year. Dak had a pretty decent year last year. Bad in the playoffs at home, which needs to be noted. So if they don't repeat, I assume the Eagles would win the division, and you could probably, then that's probably due to the quarterback play. Just like I
Mm-hmm.
guess if the Cowboys win the division, it would be a lot because of Dak, but then he sort of lays an egg in the playoffs. I just can't go Dak. Maybe, I mean, maybe to be like
You have, dude. You have
intriguing,
to go Dak.
but like Dak is such a loser.
You don't have to because like, dude, this time last year, I know
Yes,
I was saying that Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than Dak. Dak sucked 2 years ago. He led the league in interceptions. He was just all over the place. That could have been with Kellen Moore. Now, who's Jalen
I
Hurts'
don't think.
offensive
No, I
coordinator
don't think.
now?
listen, I'm, listen, I'm all
Oh, Kellen
for.
Moore.
I'm all for fair. Like I try not to be biased. I try to keep it fair. I don't think Dak was that bad because of Kellen Moore. That would be
No,
silly.
because he had good years with Kellen Moore too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that was his performance with Kellen Moore is what forced them to move on from Kellen Moore in that final season with him,
makes it easier,
where he
sure.
was really good in that season.
Ah, I really think I might go Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. Really? You
I
think he's
don't
going
know.
to be the best quarterback? I just don't think
No, because that
situationally.
would mean
Like,
they would
I
have to
think he
win.
could be. Yeah,
I
dude, and I
actually, I
just
do
don't.
think I think he could play well in Washington, still lose a lot of games, which is why I'm intrigued. I don't know. I do
I
think
just think.
I do think Jalen has a lot to prove, and this is the year to do it. Oh, I just don't know. Put me down.
Okay, let me just.
I can't pick that. I just can't pick that.
Okay,
We
let me
know
just go through.
we know who he
Dak was
is.
third in passing yards with 4,500.
Okay.
45-19, if you want to be exact, last year. First in passing touchdowns with 36. 90 PFF grade. I'm going through my PFFs here. Yeah, and Jalen Hurts had 15 interceptions last year, which is, I think, the same amount that Dak had when we were giving him shit 2 years ago.
Right, but one is also
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but one has also gone to a Super Bowl.
That is true. That is true.
So, and one has also looked like an MVP for a season.
Yes, that is true.
Right.
But, dude, I think Dak was in some MVP conversations last year.
In a but in a weaker class, of options, I should say. And it also didn't last when they got smacked towards the end a few times at the end of the year. But and I will say that I think the MVP should have gone to Christian McCaffrey last year. I don't care what position he is. Yeah. I don't care if I hate the 49ers, but you just know how it's going to end with Dak. I just think okay, great. He did have a great year, but it's like round one of the playoffs, you bring in Green Bay. I don't know.
They fell apart.
Yeah,
it's true. And Jalen was also dealing with injuries last year too, so that's another thing. Like Jalen wasn't 100%.
Yeah, but he also sucked. Like it wasn't just injuries or not. He also just sucked. Like again, Eagles fan. I'm saying it. Like I'll be honest, he sucked. Yeah. It wasn't even just like. And there are also ways to change your game when you're injured to help you, benefit you, and just not make dumb plays like he did too. And that wasn't the case. So
I'm just gonna say this, Dak. I think I really relished. I thought he was going downhill 2 years ago, and
yes,
if you pull up last year's episode, we were both ragging on him like he was garbage. He had an MVP caliber season. I think he was second team All Pro too.
Right,
and it's not like Dak is. That's the only side. Dak more often than not has been a top 10 quarterback in the league, since his rookie season.
Yeah,
more often than not. And honestly,
probably closer to 10. But I hear. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I would be lying if I told you that I wouldn't want to throw a bunch of money at Dak Prescott to be the Giants quarterback next year, because I would.
It's a different situation because you've had again, I get this is what I'll say. I never will think that he's cooked or going downhill, because I think he can always be decent enough depending on the team around him, and I think it helps with some of the guys on his offense in Dallas. But so I never think he'll be bad unless he just completely falls off. But I think playoffs count for a lot in my book, and it's just it was just bad. It's always the same story with him every time, every trip. It always comes down to him. So I don't know. Maybe we could just agree Daniel Jones, I guess.
Daniel Jones? Let's just say Daniel
Jones. I don't know.
Honestly. Oh, man. Oh, dude, I wish that Daniel Jones, I think he's going to be a lot better if he's fully healthy. And he has this rushing ability too that helped him be a really good quarterback in 2022.
Use the really positive traits. Absolutely.
Yeah, he was in a lot of people's top 10s quarterbacks going into last season because of how well he played in 2022. Yes. Now he finally is a true number one.
Now those people were delusional who had him in top 10. But yes, I agree that he was probably around 12 to 15ish going into last year. Yes, yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
if you had him top 10, you're crazy.
He was I watched him last year. I watched every game. I hated it. It was awful. He had a good half against the Cardinals, and I think that was the only good football that he played all last season.
Comeback kids, yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, both the Eagles and Cowboys lost to Arizona last year, so it says something about the Giants. I don't know.
Yeah. Man. I'm gonna finish there. I'm gonna finish with the Cowboys. I meant to make a list so I could see who had the most players, but I totally didn't make a list. Well,
we can
if I
come
had to
back.
guess off the top of my head, it'd probably be split between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Let's be honest there.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna
But yeah,
pick.
I'm going Dak. I'm going
Mm.
Dak. You're going Jaden Daniels. Are you going Jaden Daniels just to because you can't say Jalen Hurts because of how good Dak was? Like
No,
you
it's not.
you
It's
don't
not.
believe in any universe that Jalen Daniels is going to be the Jaden Daniels is going to be the best quarterback out of all the quarterbacks in the NFC East this season, this upcoming
I
season.
do think. I do think Jaden Daniels can have a very good year, and his team just be awful. Which hurts him because if your team's awful, it doesn't matter really how good of a year you have. You know what I mean? Like you're just not going. You need both. You need the good year. You need your team to play well. In that case, I'm gonna give it to Jalen. I guess I'm
Jalen
not
Hurts.
super. I'm not super confident. I guess Dak for regular season is a bit of a safer pick, but I don't know. They have nothing in the run game, which I think that they need. I think he needs that balance, and they would have nothing there. Yeah, I'll go Hurts, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go Dak. I'm just gonna go
Hmm.
Dak. I could totally see, like, especially because I still think that Hurts has a better situation, you know.
I agree with that
But
too, and that went into my decision
I
as
think,
well.
yeah, I think Dak's season last year is just, I don't know. It's better than it's tough. It's so tough because like Jalen Hurts is a different quarterback. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I think
gonna go Dak.
I
He's earned it.
I think we
He's ended
live.
off his play, and then Jalen Hurts bad play. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. You're cutting, but I think Jalen Hurts poor play last season.
Mhm.
Like he had one really, really, really good season where when he took you guys to the Super Bowl. Other than that, like you wouldn't say his sophomore season, his first season starting that like we didn't expect him to become what he did in 2022 when he took you guys to the Super Bowl. So like
Correct.
really he has one really really good year where he like finished second in MVP voting and last year where he kind of fell down to earth and was kind
Well,
of
he was the
garbage.
leading after the first 11 weeks when they were 10-1. He was the leading MVP guy.
That is true. That is true. I
So
think falling off the rails, yeah.
yeah, I do think it's relevant. I think we base a lot of things off of the most recent outcome. The most recent outcome
Yeah.
was Dallas winning the division and looking a lot better, even though they bombed in the playoffs. Um, they're just looking like a much better team than the Eagles, who literally the Eagles team literally blew up mid-season in the worst way possible. So I think that recency bias plays a good part of this too.
All right. Well, I think that's all there is to say there because we could just go back and forth about who is better or worse. So
Do we
you
do
got
head
Jalen.
coach?
I'm going. Yeah, I think we should do head coach. Head coach, you want to do head coach, OC, and DC?
Sure.
All
Head
right.
coach is tough.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, defensive coordinator. I'm gonna go Vic Fangio just because Vic Fangio, like,
I
honestly changed how
guess.
defenses run, and I
Yeah,
think he
it's
was great in Miami too. It was just more so like him butting heads with Mike McDaniel's. I don't know if you saw any of that. That it almost seemed like Vic Fangio was in the talks with the Eagles while he was still in the Dolphins when he went to the Eagles.
well, he
But
was.
I
He was supposed to be. He was supposed to be the defensive coordinator right after the Super Bowl, um,
Gannon,
right after John Gannon left, and then Miami
yeah,
scooped him up. It was very weird, but yeah, there was. Yeah, I think Fangio was a consultant for the Eagles the Super Bowl year, if I'm not wrong. But
yeah,
yeah,
it was, yeah.
so yeah, I guess.
And I think also because your defense like really didn't perform to its abilities last year. I think having a coach as good as Vic Fangio to kind of pull it together, you know.
Yes, there were a lot of bad players on the Eagles defense. It was just bad. I guess Fangio, I do agree with the scheme, how it really became a scheme for the NFL. It is a quote unquote dying scheme, I think, but it's still pretty relevant in today's game. But I think that quote unquote bend don't break style and what he brings is kind of being phased out, but it's still here for sure.
Yeah. Do you agree? Would you go Vic Fangio or?
I guess, yeah. Yeah, I would have said Dan Quinn, but obviously not here anymore.
Uh,
Well,
yeah, just a head coach.
but
Yeah.
yeah, as a head coach.
Yeah. I mean, I'm confident kind of in Shane Bowen, but he really hasn't proven anything. Like even when he was the DC Titans, yeah,
right.
It was, Mike Vrabel's defense really. So we'll see how that goes. And Mike Zimmer has always been a great defensive coordinator too. But
yes,
I mean, dude, the Dallas defense has been like performing really well under Dan Quinn. So I don't see, even if he does well, it's kind of like
I think Zimmer gets. That's why I picked Fangio. I think Zimmer probably gets punished for that. But if not, I could honestly see Zimmer as one. To be honest, but I do think I get Fangio.
Yeah. OC, offensive coordinator. Well, I'm not going to say Mike Kafka because Brian Daboll's took over his plans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Schottenheimer. I really liked Kellen Moore, and the thing is, like,
he's
going
safe.
into the Chargers, yeah.
I think
Kellen Moore was great. Like, he was like a head coach candidate.
No doubt. I think that's a good point you make. I think in a way you can kind of punish him for not being a head coach at this point. Obviously, it's tough. He wasn't going to get the head coach. Like, it's tough to say, but like he probably should be a head coach already. But there are some things that didn't work out. Then going to the Chargers, and then after the Chargers collapse, he couldn't be a head coach, even though he probably should have been in some worlds. And you could see it. I'd go Kellen Moore, but that's kind of because like he's been doing it
Cliff
so
Kingsbury,
long.
He kind of sucks.
Yeah, exactly, and he should probably be a head coach already secretly. So, yes, and I think if he does well, he will be a head coach after this year. So I would go Kellen Moore, but he also kind of for unfortunate situations on his sake. But still.
Yeah. Okay, so we agreed. We both Vic Fangio, both Kellen Moore. I feel like those are like just kind of obvious ones in their own way.
Yeah, they're safe. I think. I could honestly see Zimmer as DC too. Honestly.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I mean, I don't think Shane Bowen has all of the tools with a missing starting cornerback. Like I don't know how that's going to go. But
especially with Zimmer too. If he doesn't have to head coach an entire team and just focus on the defense. I guess you could say the same with Fangio after what he did in Denver as a head coach. But you can make the case for Zimmer. I think even more. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then head coach. Let me do. Actually, would you like to go first? How do you feel?
This is tough because Sirianni went to a Super Bowl, and I think he gets a lot of crap that he doesn't deserve. But he's kind of goofy, and when things don't work out, it looks really bad. He doesn't call his own offense. Not awful. There are a lot of coaches who don't either. Mike Tomlin, other coaches too that I'm forgetting. But
Harbaugh, yeah.
Harbaugh, correct. Yep, absolutely. And great coaches too. At it.
Both the Harbaugh too.
Yeah, great coaches too. He's a little goofy. Oh, Dan Quinn went to a Super Bowl with Atlanta.
Great. Yeah, but that you could argue that was a Kyle Shanahan.
True. I don't know. This is. And then people are going to say McCarthy won a Super Bowl, but we all know Mike McCarthy just is awful.
But who out of all those guys won a Coach of the Year? Brian Daboll. But no, honestly, and dude, look, Brian Daboll won 3 games with Tommy DeVito at quarterback. A quarterback that he didn't even trust to throw a pass, and then the next week got him ready to go on a 3-game winning streak.
Tommy
You
DeVito's a
know,
win. I will not take any Tommy DeVito slander whatsoever.
dude,
So you
I don't
better
know.
knock it off.
I remember when that podcast dropped because we lost to the Jets, dude. It's such a close game with Tommy DeVito not being able to throw a pass. I think he threw 2 passes. Dude, look awful. And I was like, I never want to see him on a football field again. Like, never. And then he became the sensation that is Tommy DeVito, which just goes to show how great I am at predicting, Italian superstars off the practice squad. But, dude, I think, and it's not just me. Like, I listen to a lot of different football content. That's how I know half. I just, while I'm cooking, like a lot of people have the same mindset that Brian Daboll has done a lot with a little. Where you can argue, yes, Nick Sirianni went to the Super Bowl, and yes, he lost both of his coordinators last year, and they were still great in that first stretch and fell apart at the end.
Right.
Dan Quinn, yeah, he went to a Super Bowl, but like once Kyle Shanahan left to become the Niners head coach, his tenure in Atlanta was dismantled. Like it fell apart. And you can argue that like he doesn't have all of the defensive pieces he needs to even like really thrive with Washington. But you could also, I mean, you saw what he did with Deron Bland, Trayvon Diggs, developing people.
But it's also it's also an offensive league, so that probably hurts Dan Quinn too.
Yeah, because I don't like Cliff Kingsbury as an OC, man.
I like him in college, but I don't know. The issue that I have with like Daboll is like they were so bad last year that like.
Well, like what were our offensive line was the worst in the league. We had like it was,
but like
there wasn't much to do, and I think this year we'll see with him taking over play calling.
This is a big year, no doubt. Yeah. I just think like, and I said it like I don't want to be a broken record. I said it 2 years ago after the Giants got a wild card, had a very good year. People weren't necessarily expecting it. You're always thinking, oh, if they're this good now, you don't want them to peak early because they can't go backwards. I think it's tough. I don't know. He does have a coach of the year. I think those could go to a lot. I think those could legitimately go to 7 different coaches probably, and you can make a case for all of them. I thought Sirianni also deserved it that year too. Oh, I don't know.
But Brian Daboll did that as a first-year coach. Like,
yes,
dude, definitely the best that we've seen with Daniel Jones, making the best of Daniel Jones. Like, we won that playoff game with Isaiah Hodgins being our best receiver, like, going into that stretch. Like, Darius Slayton, whatever, like, Wandale was even hurt at that time. Like, Daniel Bellinger as a rookie tight end. Like, Saquon was a driving force of that offense, obviously, too, but, like, he was able to do so much with no-name players. Like, what other coaches do you see doing that with an offense? It's not like our defense is that good either.
Yeah.
That's why we'll see this year. I don't think there's any definitive thing.
I agree.
I'm going to go Daboll. Okay. Not just a homer thing, but just based on evidence, I'm going Daboll. So I'll let you give your final thoughts there.
Man, I don't know. I'm not going to pick actually for head coach. I just don't know. Because I want to, like, Dan Quinn is just irresponsible, but like I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know who to pick for coach.
Yeah,
it's kind of a shame.
If Dan Quinn can like because he has a lot of interesting pieces on that defense. Like the cornerbacks are probably like what scare me the most with Emmanuel Forbes, and Benjamin St. Juste. But if he's able to develop Emmanuel Forbes into like not what kind of looked like a bust last season, and then get the most out of that defensive line, like, dude, he doesn't have edge rushers either. I can't see Dan Quinn this year being the best coach out of.
Well, that's the thing. It depends on how you like look at it. I think ultimately, you can be the best coach, kind of like a pound for pound thing. Like, your team stunk, but at least like with the Giants 2 years ago, they didn't go far in the playoffs, and they got smacked ultimately. But pound for pound, what Daboll did with kind of like that thing, like doing more with less, like you said with what Daboll did. So I don't know. It's tough. I can't pick. don't know. I don't think I could pick Dable. I can't pick McCarthy. Like I can't consider McCarthy either because he's so bad.
Yeah,
So
McCarthy's just funny to me, and I think
yes.
like for everybody. Sorry, Cowboys fans, but there you have it. The All NFC East team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, take with it what you will. We'll see how this goes. I feel like we should actually recap and see who ends up actually being this. Because last year we shit on Dak and he ended up being by far the
Yes.
best quarterback of the group.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
But it's also fun going through all these because I don't know about you, but you see how much the teams have actually changed over the offseason because there's a lot of differences now, you know?
There's a lot of turnover, and when you're good too,
Uh,
you know what you got. When you have a great team, you ultimately have to win it because things change like that after 1 year. So yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe. If you didn't make it this far, please like and subscribe. I don't know how you'd hear this to like and subscribe, so I hope you already liked and subscribed. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. As always, we are the Beasts of the NFC East, and hope you're enjoying your off season. Stay tuned.